Today we're going to be looking at a 1995 Toyota Paseo. It's based out of the Toyota Tercel engine. It makes about 100 horsepower. Other than being sporty looking, the Paseo really isn't much of a sports car. But it was a good alternative if you wanted to get a Tercel. You could get something a little bit smaller, cuter, and sportier like the Toyota Paseo. The name Paseo basically means a leisurely stroll in Spanish. I do like the looks of the Toyota Paseo. It does look like a 1990s car, but it looks much better than the competition had at the time. I do find that the Toyota Paseo is very attractive looking. It's very unlike most of the cars in the 90s, and when you look at the competition in the 1990s was a lot boxier and edgy. This one is very round and very cute looking, which is something that I think the target audience did appreciate. One of the things to note, even with 100 horsepower, this car gets pretty bad gas mileage considering what cars these days get. This thing gets 27 miles to the gallon, maybe 37 on the highway, maybe. It's not a very drifty car, considering that a Toyota Echo, for example, can get 40 miles to the gallon. Coupes don't seem to be happening anymore these days. I think we've gone into the SUV craze and the hatchback craze. So these cars are kind of like a dying breed. There's none left. This car is a 2+2. That means it's got two little seats in the back, it's got two seats in the front, and then two little ones in the back that only midgets and little children could possibly use. This car came with a 5-speed manual transmission and a 4-speed automatic with overdrive. While the Paseo is not really a sports car, I do find that it is kind of sporty driving around at low speed. This car is very low to the ground, considering that a lot of economy cars these days have a little bit more height to them, are a little bit top heavy. This one sits very low to the ground, not as much as a sports car, but it is pretty far down. So it's got a pretty good center of gravity, and you can go around turns pretty fast. I've surprised quite a few people in regular sports cars going around some of the twisties. Sure, as soon as the highway opens up a little bit, every car is going to be passing you. With 100 horsepower, you're not going to be getting away from anybody. Back in the day, this car cost about $13,000, and a top-of-the-line Paseo was around $17,000, which was a little expensive at the time, and perhaps why it didn't do so well. Looks-wise, it's a pretty cute-looking car. It looks great. This car definitely gets lost in the used car marketplace. Everybody goes after more modern cars. Whenever you search for a used car, you look for Corollas, Tercels, Camrys, Accords and Civics. But this car could be a great modding car if you're interested in setting this up. There's quite a few of these cars out there that are used for racing, surprisingly enough. They do pretty well in a racetrack if you put some modifications in them. The inside is very sparse. Everything about it is very simple. It only has one airbag in the driver's seat, and it probably doesn't work anymore. The AC just does not work anymore. This one's an automatic version, but I have had a 97 convertible 5-speed, which was a very good car. This one's got 240 something thousand miles. You can see it's very well laid out. There's nothing particularly bad about this car. Everything is simple. Even the Toyota Echo looks kind of like this one. That's one of the benefits of Toyotas. Toyotas, they go from one car to the other. They use the same parts. Like this wheel, you'll see this on just about every Toyota car from the 90s. For a car from 1995, this thing is pretty solid. Of all the years that I've owned it, I've never had any serious issues with it. Same transmission, same motor, everything seems to work fine, except it is burning a little bit of oil, which is acceptable for a car of this age. One of the drawbacks of practicality with the sports coupe style is that you don't have a lot of space in the back, in the trunk to fit stuff. In this car, you do have the option of laying down the back seat so you can fit bigger items, but it's such a difficult car to carry things that you better not use it for that. That's why hatchbacks are much better economy cars. In Japan, they had a different version of the Toyota Paseo, which was called the Toyota Serra. As you can see here, the doors open up like a Lamborghini. Of course, this is an economy car, which is pretty interesting for Toyota to release such a car that's so quirky for an economy-based audience. I do wish that this was sold in the United States, but now that this car is 25 years old, this car is being sent from Japan to the US market, and they're selling for about $4,000 to $5,000. I find the looks of the Toyota Paseo very appealing. For me, I don't want a full-out sports car because I want to get a little bit better gas mileage, and the Toyota Paseo does give you much better gas mileage than a sports car, and it looks sporty. A lot of people do slam it for being a sporty looking car without any sport, but there is an audience for that, and I kind of fit that audience. I like efficient cars above anything, more than I like sporty cars. There are some beautiful examples of Toyota Paseos out there, but in the east coast of the United States, like where I am in the DC area, you're going to see a lot of rust problems. So if you do look for a Toyota Paseo, look for one not in quote-unquote the Rust Belt. Toyota Paseo also had a convertible version of the car. Oftentimes it'll come in automatic, but I did own a 5-speed convertible version, which was really cool. I do like the convertible style, but as a practical car, the soft top was easily broken and ripped, especially with the age of this car. It's hard to find any convertibles that don't have any problems with the cover. And I think I prefer the hard body style rather than the convertible. This is a Toyota Tercel. As you can see, the Paseo looks much better than the Tercel, and that's the reason maybe somebody would pick the Paseo over the Tercel. I certainly like the Paseo a whole lot more than the Tercel. So there's really two generations of Toyota Paseos. There's the first generation from 1991 to 1995, and then you have the second generation, which is the one that I have, from 1995 to 1999. The last year of the Toyota Paseo in the United States was 1997. The Baltimore Sun had some pretty bad criticism to say about the Paseo. Hey, of course, I'm a little bit biased because I own a Toyota Paseo. But, you know, I drive it mainly because I like it. Sure, it doesn't have all the modern conveniences of a modern car, but the Toyota Paseo does have something going for it. It's extremely reliable, and it looks much better than a lot of cars of this age. It's by far a common vehicle, and sometimes people do kind of look at it as if like, wait a minute, I've seen this car somewhere. And of course they've seen it somewhere. It was in the 90s. There was a lot of criticism of the Paseo, but of the competitors at the time, they were the Geostorm, the Hyundai Scoop, the Honda CRX, the Ford Escort, the Mercury Tracer, and the Mazda Protege LX. Which of these are still on the road? I have yet to see any Honda CRX, Ford Escorts, Mercury Tracers, Proteges on the road, but I still see Toyota Paseos on the road. Not many of them because they sold very little, but the ones that have not been crushed by accidents are still running. Like these engines are extremely difficult to kill. So I think the criticism of the time was that it was not sporty, but everybody knows that this car was not meant to be sporty. It just looks like a sports car, of course. I still think the Toyota Paseo makes a great little commuter car. And if you want a car that doesn't look like any other car, then this might be a good car for you.